I'm not going to lie, boys, but the RX 570 is such amazing value in 2025. Now, we pair this with a budget CPU, the Ryzen 5600, and run it with a few games. And the results were really good. I wasn't expecting much from this card, but I actually enjoyed playing some games with this graphics card. So let's look at what this card is capable, and on the later part of the video we're also going to compare this card against another budget card, good value card, the RX 6600. So if you're planning to upgrade on this card later on, you will see how much you will gain from that jump. Obviously it's about like 3 times the price, or maybe almost 4 times the price. Okay, we've got a lot of things to go through. Let's start with the first game. In Warzone 1080p native, you'll be getting around 60 FPS. However, you do have the option to enable FSR gray quality, and you could even go down to performance. Obviously, your visual quality would suffer. In our gameplay, we just stuck with FSR quality. It's quite okay. We're getting about 60 to 70 FPS. Definitely not the best response time. However, it's playable. You may need to change your gameplay if you're a Warzone player with this card. So try not to engage in head-on combat, but probably try to flank enemies, because yeah, you would be disadvantaged with your hardware. In Marvel Rivals 1080p native low settings, the FPS is quite low. So you may need to enable upscalers in here. So we tried TSR quality. However, it's still quite low for our standards. So we drop it down even lower to TSR performance. Now the FPS is better. However, it's still low. So same thing. It's less than 60 FPS. Response time is a bit low. So you might be good to actually pick a character that's more like support or a range character rather than someone that's on the front. In Apex Legends, you'll be getting about 90 to 100 FPS at 1080p competitive settings. Now, you can fight with this. It's not the best. However, like I said, it's good enough, right? It's good enough for the price that we're paying for this card. You can enjoy the game. You'll be having a lot of fun for this $58 GPU. Moving to our games that require a lot of FPS. First up is Fortnite, and we're running performance mode here at 1080p, and this is how it would run. Now, we are GPU bottleneck in here. If we did try like dropping the 3D resolution down to 75%, you get a little bit more FPS. Now, the GPU is maxed out most of the time. There is a bit of stuttering here, and the lows are pretty bad in game. I mean, you can still hit the shots, you still win, you still will be able to win some build fights. You just have to adjust your gameplay. In Valorant 1080p competitive settings, man, I really love this card here. I think this is the only card that you will need for Valorant. Yes, Valorant can run on a potato PC, but a $58 RX 570 is just perfect. Now, I love this card for this game. Yes, we're not able to reach more than 300 FPS or around 400 FPS, but this card is so stable. It's not unlike those other cards that we're in. I have to play a few rounds before it becomes stable. This card is just stable out of the box. In PUBG, we're getting less than 100 FPS. However, thankfully this game is a bit on the slower pace. So around 70 to 80 FPS is okay for the price that we're paying here. You still can enjoy the game. We're not really disadvantaged here. The frame times are mostly stable actually for this card. And obviously we are GPU bottleneck, and it's all good. It's all good. Pretty enjoyable game. Now let's move back to more modern games, and here we have Delta Force, and the FPS is around 90 to 100. That we did enable some upscaling here, TSR quality. It's not as fast, but considering the value you're getting here, we are still fragging here. Is this not like the experience that I got with our RX 6600 before? This one's okay. It's okay. Continuing on with another modern extraction shooter, Arena Breakout Infinite. We did have low settings in here with TSR balance enabled. It's a bit sluggish. The gameplay itself is a bit sluggish, and we are here in the valley map, which has a lot of vegetations, a lot of things going on as well. It's a bit of an open map too. Not the best, but hey, we can still hit our shots here. In Helldivers 2, this is how it runs in medium. It's quite low, so we have to set it down to low settings, which is still lacking. So we turn it down even further to low settings with ultra quality upscaling. And now in Super Helldive difficulty, which is the highest difficulty in the game with a lot of bugs, a lot of explosions, and a lot of things going on, we're actually able to get about 60 to 70 FPS. This is a pretty decent experience with this card. This is a $58 card, boys, and we're able to enjoy Helldivers 2. I didn't have any major stutters while playing this game with our RX 570. I'm actually happy with this one. In Path of Exile 2, this is not a good experience. Now, you can play the game, but your FPS will be around 40. Now, we do have dynamic resolution turned on, enabled in this game. And when there's a lot of things that are happening, you would see that the game just becomes pixelated, and this is where that dynamic resolution works. If you just compare dynamic resolution turn on and off in here, this is what you would get. So yes, you can play Path of Exile 2, but it's not the best experience. Okay, you just have to taper down your expectation. And before we proceed with our RX 6600 comparison, if you guys enjoy videos like these, don't forget to hit that like button. Okay, let's start with our first game. In Warzone, if you upgrade to the RX 6600, you will gain a lot of FPS. Look at that one. That's maybe more than double the FPS, right? So this is definitely a worthy upgrade if you're going for the RX 6600. And in Apex Legends, it's the same thing. Yeah, you do get a huge leap from the RX 570 going to the RX 6600. Look at that one. Really night and day difference, right? So definitely worth considering if you're going to upgrade later on. And Path of Exile 2, yes, you would get a little bit more FPS with RX 6600. However, this game does tend to be more CPU intensive, and you can see that our FPS is not as high even with the RX 6600. So you have to take that into consideration. I'd say Fortnite performance mode is pretty much the same. I think it's not actually worth considering upgrading to the RX 6600 in this case. You would see that here a very minor difference. Obviously, we've maxed out our RX 570 here, while in the RX 6600, yeah, you're not maxed out here. And one thing that I'd like to point out in here as well is that the RX 6600 still has that clock speed issue, wherein it tends to be not pushing itself too hard. And here we have PUBG. You would almost double your FPS jumping to the RX 6600. And as I've said, you can play PUBG with RX 570. You'll be fine on competitive settings. If you want more FPS, yes, go for the RX 6600. Obviously, it's almost triple the price. It's more than triple the price, but you do get that massive upgrade, right? Now, this is medium Helldivers 2, and that's a big lead when you go to the RX 6600. However, as I've said before, if you're just with the RX 570 and you just lower your settings, you can still enjoy Helldiving. And finally, we have Marvel's Rivals. Yes, you definitely would need to upgrade to the RX 6600 if you're planning to play this game. You would need that FPS, definitely that graphics power, because in the current state, as I've said, you can only stay maybe on the back end as a support character, not so much going head-to-head with other characters on such low FPS. Otherwise, you'd be at a really serious disadvantage. I really wasn't expecting much with our RX 570. I mean, this is almost an 8-year-old card, and it still continues to deliver. The 8GB of VRAM has definitely aged so well for this card. I mean, we haven't used much of the VRAM in the games we played, but this card is actually pretty good, especially if you're on a budget. And speaking of budget, so if you're wondering if we retain the same setup and actually go all in for our video card, we recently did a video wherein we used the same system and placed an RX 7800 XT on the system, like really go all in on the video card. If you're interested in that, click this video right here. I'll see you guys over there.